Aging is something we all face, but how we choose to navigate it defines the quality of our lives. As we move into our later years, it's important to reflect on what truly matters: our relationships, our memories, and the wisdom we've gained. However, this stage of life also presents challenges that impact not just our physical bodies, but how we connect with others and how we view ourselves. While we can't stop the aging process, we have the power to shape how we carry ourselves and maintain those meaningful connections. In this video, we'll explore 9 key behaviors that can stand in the way of aging gracefully, offering insights into how we can avoid them and continue to live with dignity, purpose, and joy. As you watch, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to our channel for more valuable content on aging well and living fully. Let's embrace this journey together. 1. Monopolizing conversations. As we move through life, we accumulate experiences, rich, vivid stories shaped by our past, filled with lessons from our careers, moments with loved ones, and memories of challenges we've overcome. It's natural to want to share these stories. In fact, it feels important. After all, we've lived through so much, and there's value in passing that wisdom on. But here's where things can get tricky. Without realizing it, we might find ourselves taking over conversations, turning them into our own personal monologues. And while we mean well, this habit can sometimes have the opposite effect of what we intend. Think about the conversations we've had recently. When we're in a group, whether it's at a family dinner, a social gathering, or just a chat with friends, it's easy to be triggered by a topic that reminds us of a similar experience we've had. Suddenly, we're off and running, sharing our story, offering our perspective, without stopping to ask ourselves, is now the time to speak? Or am I leaving space for others to share their thoughts? This doesn't mean that our experiences aren't valuable. Of course they are, but we need to be careful that in our eagerness to offer insights, we don't unintentionally dominate the conversation. When we do, it can sometimes come across as though we're more interested in hearing ourselves speak than in hearing what others have to say. This is especially important when we're talking with younger people. They've got their own perspectives, ideas, and experiences, and when we take up too much space, they might feel like their voices don't matter as much. They might start to withdraw or stop contributing because they don't feel heard. Now imagine a typical scenario. Let's say you're at a gathering with family or friends, and someone brings up a current event. You've lived through something similar years ago, and naturally, you want to share your take on it. But before we jump in, let's ask ourselves a quick question. Is what I'm about to say going to enrich this conversation or shift the focus back to me? Sometimes the best thing we can do is hold back and listen. When we create space for others to express themselves, especially younger folks who may not have the same life experience, we're showing them respect. We're sending the message that what they think and feel is just as important as what we've been through. This is not about silencing ourselves or pretending our stories don't matter. It's about balance. There's a fine line between sharing and oversharing, and finding that balance makes all the difference in how we connect with others. When we focus on truly listening, when we give people room to speak, we show them that we value their input. It transforms the conversation from something one-sided into a meaningful exchange where everyone feels included. One simple approach we can adopt is to become more intentional about how much we contribute. After sharing a story or offering our perspective, we can make a conscious effort to pause and ask others for their thoughts. It can be as easy as saying, "What do you think about that?" Or "I'd love to hear your opinion." By doing this, we're inviting them to step in, to share their own experiences and viewpoints. It shows that we're not just interested in talking, we're interested in hearing and learning from others and in building a genuine dialogue. And there's a deeper lesson here, one that speaks to the essence of true wisdom. As we get older, wisdom isn't just about the stories we tell. It's about how we listen. The ability to listen, to really listen, is a sign of maturity, patience, and empathy. When we listen more than we talk, we create space for meaningful connections. We show that we're not just focused on ourselves, but that we genuinely care about those around us. This kind of listening goes beyond hearing words. It's about understanding and making others feel valued. The goal is to be someone who enriches conversations, not by dominating them, but by thoughtfully contributing and, just as importantly, by being a good listener. People are drawn to those who know when to speak and when to step back and let others shine. It's a delicate balance, but one that makes all the difference in building stronger relationships and deeper connections. Let's make an effort to listen as much as we talk. Let's invite others to share, to express, and to feel heard. In doing so, we not only enhance the conversation, but we also show that we're wise enough to know that listening can sometimes be more powerful than speaking. It's in these moments of true exchange that we find the richest connections with those around us. 2. Excessive bragging. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where it feels like someone is always talking about their achievements, their success, or their family's accomplishments? It's easy to recognize in others, but the truth is sometimes we all fall into this habit without realizing it. And as we grow older, it can be tempting to share the things we're proud of, our families, our careers, or our successes. But there's a delicate balance we need to strike, a line we can unintentionally cross when sharing turns into excessive bragging. We've all been there, whether it's boasting about a successful child, a big financial achievement, or the latest personal milestone. It feels good to talk about the things we've worked hard for. But what we don't always see is how it might affect those listening. When we constantly highlight our own successes, it can create an invisible wall between us and others, especially those who may be facing struggles in the areas we're boasting about. Imagine you're sitting with a friend who has been facing financial challenges or has children who are going through a rough patch. In this situation, repeatedly bringing up how well our children are doing or how comfortable we are financially could unintentionally make that friend feel distanced or even inadequate. Not because we're trying to make them feel that way, but because the comparison can be painful. While we might see our story as one of pride, to someone else it could be a reminder of what they don't have. This doesn't mean we should hide our pride or downplay our accomplishments. It's important to celebrate the good in our lives, but it's just as important to be mindful of how and when we share. In moments where someone else may be struggling, leading with empathy can create a deeper connection. Instead of focusing on what we've achieved, let's try focusing on what we've learned from those achievements. Let's share the lessons that came with our experiences rather than the successes themselves. Instead of saying, "My child is doing incredibly well," we might say, "Being a parent has taught me so much about patience and support." This shift not only shows humility, but also invites others into the conversation, allowing them to reflect on their own journeys without feeling overshadowed. We don't need to boast to be noticed. In fact, the most admirable people are often those who let their lives speak for themselves. Their confidence shines not through words, but through the way they carry themselves, how they treat others, and the kindness they show. As we move through life, the things that once felt essential to prove to others our success, our status, become less important. What matters more is the connections we build, the lessons we pass on, and the way we make others feel when we're in their presence. The internal growth that helps us create meaningful relationships. Let's aim to be the kind of people who inspire through our humility, not through our need to be heard for what we've done. The strongest connections are built not on comparisons, but on understanding, on listening, and on shared humanity. 3. Judging people based on first impressions. One thing we might not always realize as we move through life is how easily we fall into the habit of forming opinions about others at first glance. It's something that can sneak up on us as we get older. With years of experience behind us, it can feel like we've seen it all and can quickly read people. But here's the truth. When we rush to judge based on those initial impressions, we close ourselves off from truly understanding others and potentially miss out on meaningful connections. Think about how often we meet someone and almost instinctively size them up based on a few quick details. The way they look, their age, maybe the clothes they wear, or even their body language. We might decide in a split second that we know their story. But in doing so, we're often letting our assumptions take over instead of taking the time to really see who that person is. And when we do that, we're not just shutting down the possibility of getting to know someone new, but we're also reinforcing stereotypes and preconceived notions that limit our perspective. Let's reflect for a moment. Has there ever been a time when someone misjudged you? Maybe they made assumptions based on how you appeared, or they misunderstood your words or actions without taking the time to really know what was going on beneath the surface. It probably didn't feel good. In fact, it might have left you feeling misunderstood, unseen, or even frustrated. Now imagine how often we might be unintentionally doing that to others. How quickly we might be writing someone off because we think we know them based on just a few shallow observations. The reality is, every person we encounter carries with them a complex story filled with unique experiences, challenges, and perspectives. A quick glance or a brief interaction can never capture the fullness of who they are. So instead of jumping to conclusions, let's challenge ourselves to look a little deeper. What if we approached each new person with genuine curiosity, with an open mind instead of a checklist of assumptions? The next time we meet someone new, let's take a step back and resist the urge to form an immediate judgment. Instead of automatically categorizing them in our minds based on what we can see or what little we know, let's engage them with thoughtful questions. Ask something beyond the surface, like, what's been the most important lesson you've learned recently? Or what inspires you the most right now? These kinds of questions open the door to real conversations, giving us a chance to truly discover who that person is beyond the first impression. And here's the beauty of it. When we do this, we not only form deeper, more authentic relationships, but we also open ourselves up to new ways of thinking. We allow ourselves to grow, to see the world through different eyes, and to become more compassionate and understanding in the process. It's about creating space in our hearts and minds to let others surprise us, to learn from them, and to enrich our own lives through the connections we build. Judging less and understanding more isn't just about being kind to others. It's about living with an open heart. It's about realizing that every person has something to teach us if we're willing to take the time to listen and look beyond the surface. As we navigate life, especially as we get older, let's remember that the real value in our interactions lies not in how quickly we can assess someone, but in how deeply we can connect with them. Approach people with curiosity rather than judgment. We invite more depth into our relationships and more kindness into our lives. In doing so, we become not only more compassionate toward others, but also more at peace with ourselves as we age with wisdom and grace. So let's make the conscious choice to set aside our assumptions embrace the richness of human complexity, and truly see each other for who we are. 4. Wisdom and understanding. What wisdom truly means? It's not simply about gathering knowledge or facts. It's about developing a deep understanding, an understanding that comes from truly listening, observing, and resisting the urge to make snap judgments. As we go through life, it's easy to feel like we've got it all figured out, but real wisdom comes from realizing that there's always more to learn. When we embrace a mindset of openness, especially as we grow older, we open the door to richer connections with others. It's in those moments of being present, of truly hearing and seeing the world around us, that we grow. This approach keeps our minds sharp, curious, and ever receptive to new ideas and experiences. Let's remind ourselves that wisdom is not the same as certainty. Instead, it's about staying humble enough to recognize that even with all we know, there's still so much more waiting to be understood. So, the next time we find ourselves in conversation, let's challenge ourselves to listen a little longer, observe a little more closely, and stay open to what we might learn, even in the most unexpected places. This is how we nurture both our wisdom and our understanding, not by knowing all the answers, but by staying curious enough to keep asking the right questions. 5. Neglecting personal appearance. There's a widespread belief that as we get older, we can let go of the need to focus on how we look. We might hear phrases like, "It's the inside that counts," and while there's undeniable truth in that sentiment, our kindness, our character, and the goodness we bring to the world matter far more than our outward appearance. There's another layer to consider. When we neglect our appearance, we risk losing touch with how we see ourselves, and that can profoundly impact our emotional health. Imagine for a moment what happens when we stop caring about our looks. It's not just about the clothes we wear or our grooming habits. It's about our self-image. When we let ourselves go, we might inadvertently signal to ourselves and to others that we've lost our self-worth or our zest for life. And that can lead to feelings of inadequacy or even deeper issues like depression. On the other hand, when we take the time to look our best, we send out a powerful message, not only to the outside world, but also to ourselves. It says we're still engaged, we still care, and we're still part of this vibrant tapestry called life. Think back to a time when you treated yourself to a fresh haircut or slipped into an outfit that you absolutely love. How did that make you feel? There's an undeniable energy that comes with those moments, a revitalizing boost to our confidence that can brighten our entire day. Now, picture running into someone you haven't seen in years, only to find they've let themselves slip. Hair unkempt, clothes frayed and faded. What impression does that create? It's not just a visual reaction. It's a deeper message that can reflect feelings of withdrawal or apathy. That's not the kind of impression we want to leave, not for ourselves or for those we care about. Let's be clear. Taking care of our appearance is not an act of vanity. It's about nurturing our dignity and self-respect. It serves as a testament to the fact that we value ourselves and our journey, regardless of age. When we make an effort to present ourselves well, we communicate to ourselves and those around us that we're still connected to our identity and that we cherish our lives. Simple actions, like wearing clean, well-fitted clothing or spending a few extra minutes on grooming, can transform not only how we feel about ourselves, but also how we're perceived by others. Now, if you find that you've slipped into the habit of neglecting your appearance, there's no need for shame. It's an easy trap to fall into, especially with the demands of life. But it's never too late to make a change. Start small. Perhaps it's time to visit a barber or stylist for a fresh look. Or maybe it's about investing in a few new clothing items that make you feel confident and alive. Each little step we take towards self-care can have a profound effect on our self-esteem and overall outlook. Self-care is a reflection of how we view ourselves. By prioritizing our appearance, we're also fostering a sense of value and pride. It's a simple yet impactful way to remind ourselves that we are still present, still vibrant, and still engaged with life, regardless of the passage of time. Let's embrace the notion that taking care of ourselves on the outside can profoundly affect how we feel on the inside. Let's cultivate a sense of self-worth that shines through in every aspect of our lives. Together, let's ensure our outward appearance is a true reflection of the dignity and respect we hold within. 6. Expecting respect without earning it. There was a time when age alone carried with it a certain authority. It was assumed that if we had lived long enough, the respect of others would naturally follow. But, as we know, times have changed, and with those changes comes a shift in how respect is perceived and given. Nowadays, it's not simply handed over based on seniority. People, especially the younger generation, are more critical thinkers, more independent in how they approach relationships. They don't just accept things the way they used to. And while that might be challenging for some of us to accept, it's the reality we live in. We've probably all felt that frustration, haven't we? That moment when we're talking to someone younger and we feel they're not showing the deference we think we've earned. It might be in how they speak to us, the way they dismiss our opinions, or simply a feeling that they don't hold us in the same esteem we were once used to. It can feel disrespectful, even hurtful. But here's the key. Respect, now more than ever, is something that must be earned, not expected. It's no longer about demanding respect based on how long we've lived or what we've done in the past. It's about showing, through our actions and our words, that we're worthy of that respect. Imagine walking into a room and just assuming that because we're older, others will automatically fall in line, listen to us without question, and value our opinions above theirs. When that doesn't happen, it can feel like a slap in the face, can't it? But the truth is, we can't expect people to respect us just because of our age or experiences. What we can do, though, is earn that respect by how we treat them. We must start by listening, really listening to their perspectives. We must show that we're open to hearing new ideas, even if they're different from what we believe. And most importantly, we must demonstrate kindness and understanding. Next time we're in a conversation with someone younger, let's try something different. Let's push aside the expectation that they owe us respect because of our age. Let's instead approach the conversation as equals, with an openness to what they have to say. We can engage them with genuine interest, ask about their experiences, and offer our own insights, not with the authority of age, but with the humility of someone who knows there's always more to learn. In doing so, we build a bridge. We create a space where mutual respect can flourish. Respect is not a one-way street. It's something that grows when both sides are willing to invest in it. We know this, but sometimes it helps to be reminded that respect is cultivated. It's something that comes from how we choose to treat others, regardless of their age. And that's a powerful thing. When we treat others with the respect we hope to receive, we set the stage for deeper, more meaningful relationships. We create connections that are based on understanding, not just obligation. The deeper takeaway here is simple but profound. We earn respect by how we live and how we interact with those around us. It's not automatic, and that's okay, because when respect is earned, it's lasting. It's real. It's not something that can be taken away or diminished by changing times or evolving social dynamics. It's something we build step by step in every interaction, every conversation. Let's ask ourselves, are we showing the kind of respect we want to receive? Are we building relationships based on mutual understanding, or are we holding on to outdated expectations? By focusing on how we treat others, rather than on how we think they should treat us, we can shift the dynamic. We can create stronger bonds, deeper respect, and ultimately, a more fulfilling connection with the people around us. And in that process, we grow too. We learn that respect isn't something that diminishes with age, but something that deepens when we actively cultivate it. We discover that respect is less about who we are and more about how we make others feel. And that's something that transcends age. It's universal. 7. Holding on to grudges. It's easy to collect memories of moments that left us feeling hurt or wronged. It could be a harsh word from a family member, a friendship that ended badly, or a misunderstanding that was never cleared up. Over time, these little moments can build up, becoming heavier than we realize. The truth is, when we hold on to these past hurts, we end up carrying them with us, year after year. It's like adding more and more weight to an invisible backpack we wear every day. And the longer we hold on to them, the heavier they get. But the real question we need to ask ourselves is, why are we holding on so tightly to grudges? When we cling to resentment, thinking about how someone wronged us, we often believe we're protecting ourselves. We convince ourselves that by staying angry, we're somehow keeping a shield up against further hurt. But in reality, holding on to grudges doesn't protect us at all. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Instead, it keeps us trapped in a cycle of bitterness and pain. We're the ones feeling weighed down, not the people who hurt us. They may have moved on with their lives while we're still stuck, replaying the same painful memories over and over in our minds. And that's the real tragedy. Think about this for a moment. How much of our precious time is being stolen by holding on to old grudges? How many joyful moments are we missing because we're too focused on past pain? Life is short, and we don't have endless time to spend stuck in a place of anger or resentment. Yet, many of us hesitate to let go, believing that forgiving someone means excusing what they did. But forgiveness doesn't mean that at all. It's not about saying what happened was okay, nor does it mean we have to let that person back into our lives. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, a way to release the emotional weight we've been carrying and reclaim our inner peace. We have to remember that letting go doesn't erase the past. It doesn't change what happened, but it changes how we carry it forward. When we decide to forgive, we're making a choice to set ourselves free from the chains of anger and resentment that have held us back. We're saying that we deserve to live without that emotional burden. And let's be honest, carrying around that weight is exhausting. It drains our energy, it clouds our minds, and it takes away our ability to truly enjoy the present moment. By letting go, we open up space for new, positive experiences to come into our lives. Now, we're not saying forgiveness is easy. It's not something we can just flip a switch on. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to face the pain head on. But the first step in that process is reflection. We need to ask ourselves, is holding on to this grudge really worth it? Is it adding anything positive to my life? Chances are it's not. Often, we'll find that the person we're holding a grudge against doesn't even think about the situation anymore. So, why are we the ones carrying all the weight? A powerful exercise we can try is writing a letter to the person who hurt us. Not to send, just for ourselves. Putting our feelings down on paper can help us process the pain and begin to understand why we've been holding on to it for so long. This is where we can be completely honest, saying all the things we've never said before, and then once the feelings are out, we can choose to let go. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened, but it means we're no longer allowing that pain to control us. When we make that choice to forgive, it's like lifting a huge weight off our shoulders. Suddenly, we feel lighter, freer, and more at peace. It's as though we're clearing out the emotional clutter that's been taking up space in our hearts. And once that space is clear, we can fill it with something better, more joy, more love, more peace. We deserve that. Each of us deserves to live with a sense of emotional freedom, not tied down by grudges from the past. Life has enough challenges as it is without us adding unnecessary burdens. When we look back on our lives, do we want to remember the anger and bitterness? Or do we want to recall the moments of happiness, connection, and peace? By choosing to let go of grudges, we are choosing to live fully in the present. We're giving ourselves permission to move forward, unshackled by the past. And in doing so, we're opening ourselves up to all the beautiful possibilities that life still has to offer. Forgiving is not about weakness. It's not about giving in. In fact, it's one of the strongest, most empowering things we can do for ourselves. It takes courage to say, I'm not going to let this control me anymore. It takes strength to release the anger and make room for peace. But when we do, the reward is immense. We find ourselves lighter, more joyful, and more at peace with where we are in life. So, let's think about the grudges we might be holding on to today. Let's reflect on whether they're serving us or holding us back. And let's take that brave step toward forgiveness, not for anyone else, but for ourselves, because we deserve to live a life free from the weight of the past. We deserve to experience the peace that comes with letting go. It's time to release the pain, the bitterness, and the resentment. It's time to embrace the freedom that forgiveness brings. And in doing so, we can step into the next chapter of our lives with open hearts, ready to welcome all the beauty that's still to come.